Ladies and Germans, how you all doing? This is Con Ulrich.
This is Rangru, low.
And folks, we're getting started immediately. So we're on Tannenberg. This is actually the monthly tournament. Rang, who do we have?
Left hand side in the blue, we have ElBowser playing as 352nd Infantry Division with a Maverick income. And the right hand side in the red, we have Inshaaaaaaaaaaa playing Fedunking with a Maverick income. And right off the bat, good call in from Bowser chasing off their SU2.
Well, first of all, folks, we promised that if you bring in Tannenberg, you will get your replay shown. But, wow. Very, very quick SU2 going down. We don't often see that kind of early, kind of light bomber here, and I'm not saying that's why, but very, very interesting to see the early call-in on that.
Yep, definitely good counter from Bowser to try to keep the recon play under wraps for now. But yeah, both sides playing pretty standard style infantry divisions. So we're probably going to see a lot of infantry style fighting in the town up north and in the center.
Exactly. I mean, the center, maybe not quite as much. For some reason, that mortar thought it was a really good idea to charge to the front. So very, very interesting and very fatal mistake.
Yeah. Well, the Disco's going to try and come in to clutch it, but no, he's going to get machine gun too.
And she's in the bombs right there as well. So not pretty, no matter which way you slice it. I think he's going to go back for that mortar if he's lucky. No, it's over the strokey. So that mortar screws up the move order and still doesn't get punished for it. Very, very lucky there.
Yeah, and just that one MGR8 has definitely been quite clutch so far in stopping his push and just pinning down everything in the open field as these Charby runs very, very slowly make it to the front.
And you know what's one of those things? I know I literally just griped to you just before we got started. I'm not a 352nd guy, but I will admit I do have a soft spot for those B2s.
Oh. Such a cool tank.
It is. It
Only the
truly,
French
truly
could make it.
Well, it's like one of those like crazy tanks you always see as like the last boss in like a sniper elite game or something. But it actually works.
It was the last boss of the French army, and the Germans just flanked it.
They thought to themselves, "Yeah, we're running out of tanks. Yeah, bring that in thing. Why not?" BF-109 making ground runs over here at that Maxim. So it was a little bit iffy over here for ElBowser, but he's stabilizing quite well, especially with these early BF-109s, these bombing runs.
It's got a pretty decent 1311. I mean, both sides have the same income, so there's not going to be any time games which need to be played. But he's using his air power quite effectively at 109, coming in, sniping the Zis gun. He's definitely feels like he's getting a little bit of momentum up north. Well, he's also taking decent casualties up north as well for Bowser, but he definitely has the fire support superiority, it seems, on the northern flank.
The interesting thing here is that just looking from a purely aircraft standpoint, there's a lot of flying tanks over here for the Russians. But that being said, I feel like the mobility and I think even overall air power might have to be given to the 352nd, which is not a phrase I thought I would say today.
Yeah, they got the B3s, so we might actually see the Mighty Duck make a return. I was seeing strokey DTs pushing right through the center, just going straight for the flag, outflanking the Germans in the forest, not wanting to get too close to your Stoss troop. And so very interesting call here. I think he's really trying to actually make his salient work, but Bowser is coming in hot with the B2s.
But even as he's bringing the B2s, there's still an SU-85 and takes out one of those noble B2s. And also, let's not forget, yes, the strokey DTs don't actually have any anti-tank, but those Molotov cocktails can be awfully, nerve-wracking for anybody inside a vehicle.
Oh. So yeah, it's going to be very hard for him to just actually continue his push, because that one tank, he has no anti-tank nearby to actually deal with it.
No, he does not. Now, vehicle game overall. 52nd, not really a tank division, obviously. I mean, that's why it's the 52nd Infantry. Are going to see a handful of B2s, a handful of Stugs. In terms of Fedukina, I mean, these guys aren't really exactly blessed with a ton of armored fighting vehicles either. Who wins the vehicle game?
It's honestly pretty even, because both do have a decent amount of self-propelled guns available. But for Fedunkin, I mean, you got the 100mm anti-tank gun. For 352nd, you have the Jagdpanther. So both sides can actually put up quite a long-range fight. So honestly, it'd be pretty even.
Now, how about the straight infantry game? Because I mean, strokey DTs, that's got to be pretty terrifying, right?
Yeah, but Germans also have pretty good infantry spam as well. Not as great, definitely a bit more on the spammy side, but they have enough to make it work. Honestly, this is a pretty, like, even matchup. Two very standard infantry divisions. Not like T-34 infantry divisions, but yeah, tanks, what are those? You get a few of those. Not a lot, just a few.
Well, that's the thing. I will remember the flavor text for the 352nd pretty much, I think, as long as I live. The 352nd fights the war in the way of their grandfathers, and I thought to myself, wow, that's kind of bleak, but...
Here's the MP-18 and the hand grenades. Go over to the enemy trench. But they want to beat you.
Exactly. Now, both sides are probably not really knowing where some of their opponent's infantry is. We did just see an Su-2 dropping its payload about 400 meters short. Same thing happened over here, though, too, at the same time with the BF-109, as kind of these interlopers are starting to get cleaned up very, very slowly. Not without casualties, of course, but very, very slowly.
Yeah, we're seeing ElBowser move his Stormtrooper group and roll a dedicated group, while Inshaaaaaaaaaaa is trying to spread out his forces more to actually make the most out of the potential flanking opportunities in this forest. But the problem is he can't deal with the B2s because he has no anti-tank nearby, so he really needs to get something at least to blow up that one B2 because this is halting his push.
But it is worth mentioning, though, too, that looking at what exists over here, vehicle-wise, the B2s are still hopelessly outclassed, even by those MCHAs, really, on the field.
Yeah, they're really only good for infantry fire support. But in this forest area, where it's all close quarters, heck, even in the town, they can prove to be pretty, good, because a tank at close quarters is a very scary tank, no matter what it is.
Superior Comandante, here comes. And much pain was had.
Oh.
So the B2s, two of them have, no, I think actually three of them have already gone down here, so I would probably hazard a guess that this middle side is going to be, well, it's going to be a bit of an uphill battle for ElBowser.
Yeah, Inshaaaaaaaaa's making really good progress. I mean, those strokey DTs can contend against the Stormtrooper quite well. Once again, he really make the most out of his superior comrade. And his Su-85, so he is going to get bombed to the Stone Age in just a second. Oh, and the shot from the side, that also works.
Well, Martyr too, I mean, we can, loft as many insults as we want to towards those Martyrs. But if, your opponent doesn't see you, that's a very, very easy way to pick up a couple cheeky kills.
Yeah. That's definitely in a good position, covering the northern part of that forest from the town, but also just from the forest side itself. So he's pretty much zoned off that area from any continued Soviet armored attacks.
I suppose the rather interesting thing here too is just the incredible amount, I feel like, of sniper play being utilized by the Russians. They only have 4 squads, but I feel like they're constantly around.
Yeah, he pretty much brought all of them out early on, and on a map like this, they can be very good, as there's a lot of open ground, and there's a lot of German machine guns which need to get relocated, probably 6 feet under.
Unfortunately, I feel like MG42s and MG08s have at least as good kind of beaten ground areas as those snipers are going to have, and in some cases, I think even more so. So the snipers do have to reveal themselves quite a bit to be effective, which is a bit of a problem.
Yup. We're seeing ElBowser is doing a decent job at least of holding the central line with his rather sparse force. Once again, I think it's just coming down to the armor. Yeah, Panhard is pretty much halting the Soviet infantry, forcing him to fall back into the forest. So once again, I mean, Insha, he has a real, good chance of completely capturing this hill. He has the potential momentum. It's just coming down to dealing with the armored units, and he doesn't really have any even anti-tank rifle squads nearby, which could prove to be quite helpful.
The thing that's kind of interesting, though, is you actually have a number of bursts of anti-tank guns coming on in, as well as a 37mm anti-aircraft, that being brought in to kind of really secure the central forest. They're a little bit conservatively placed for my liking, but I can certainly understand at least bringing them to those kind of jump-off points, if nothing else.
Yeah, and also keep those, I think, mainly BF-109s away from blowing up all those SU tank destroyers. The 204 is going in absolutely hot into the forest here, and the superior community is definitely going to take advantage of this.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's gonna make it quite hot for that Panhard as well. Is he gonna be bothered, or is it just gonna be hot? I mean, I guess it's hot and bothered is definitely how the Panhard's gonna get it.
Come on.
Yeah, exactly. Like any second, it's one of those
We
things. Where
told
it's like
you to blow it up, so blow it up. You're making us look bad here, Superi.
Well, again, Castor's curse, man.
I
And here
know.
we go again. It's like another bombing run that just goes to the middle of nowhere. Yep, there we go. Long last.
Finally. Finally. Thank you, Insha.
Alright. Looking elsewise, is this 3 being placed again? Like I said, look at these. They're very, very conservatively placed.
Yeah.
Not,
Yeah.
Like, not feeling that. Not feeling that at all.
Yeah, honestly, he just needs to bring Runavils up right to the front line. Yes, it's a risky location, but he needs the front line firepower if he wants to continue a central push. So honestly, I think he's not feeling it in the center. He's got that 1311. They're both of the same income. He probably thinks that in the Fog of War there's more enemy forces in the forest. Reno is really bugger all apart from some Stormtrooping. So I think he's just trying to play it cool, play it safe, and just trying to play it like a slow standard infantry division.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, that's kind of a difficult prospect. A very difficult prospect.
I know what you mean, because I risky Ross attacking. Like this is a perfect opportunity, even just doing some sort of, small attack into that forest to gauge the front line. But he is racing the opportunity. Oh, BF 109 does go down. SU2 taking a bit of firepower. That's a lot of anti-air on the field.
I think that's part of it too. Is the thing that both guys, since they are playing those infantry divisions, are thinking to themselves, "Okay, we got to go and concentrate a ton of forces first. We've got to go and have, what it should obviously be a crazy amount of just force advantage. Let's just say in a certain area."
Yeah, we have seen the first Jagdpanther being brought out here from ElBowser, and he is bringing out. Where is he bringing? Oh, he's bringing that just south of the forest. So maybe he's going to try and play the far southern flank, because that Jagdpanther does give you the ability to pretty much reach out and touch any tank with a very powerful armor penetration shot from 2 kilometers away.
Oh, he's not going to. He's bringing 3 squads of Stormpios into the center forest, so that's where the play's happening.
Yeah, he's bringing us in. Honestly, he needs like a bit more of a beefier defense in the forest, and he does have a very good defensive line. He's got the SGs, all the Flak 88s, all the anti-tank guns and mortars spread out. I mean, both sides really have pretty good defensive lines, which is what you expect from infantry divisions such as these.
The problem with it, though, is how do you break the deadlock? Because it ends up being this one moment where neither guy wants to blink first, because attacking into any of those things is horrific.
Yeah. And that's always the hard part.
We see right now the sultry. I'm sorry, please.
No, I'm just thinking most of the fighting is just going to be happening in the central forest area, pretty much. Like, it's safe and easy.
And that was one thing I was wondering why the the Shvera infantry gun over here, the SIG-33, why he's not been using like an attack ground opportunity for that. I feel like he knows where the vague front line is. Utilize it. There's going to be definitely a necessity to do so.
Oh yeah, just shooting the edge of the forest and seeing what splash damage you can get. Honestly, not a bad idea. I mean, you got all the ammunition, so you might as well.
And I mean, the one issue is that he actually has no supply trucks in this deck, which seems
oh
a
my
little.
God.
So and let me qualify that, because if memory serves, the field howitzer, the FH-18s, I think they come in with a multi.
Oh, they do.
Yes,
they do.
The 5,000 with that. So there is some supply in there, but I can see him being a little bit slow to go for it initially because, on the face of it, they don't have a whole lot of material.
Yeah. I think it'd be fine without supply trucks. I mean, it sucks if the Jagdpanthers do get badly hurt, and he doesn't have a whole lot of artillery, so it's not artillery spam into hell and back. So, yeah, he just has to be a bit more cautious compared to Insha, which is definitely a little bit more heavy on the artillery department. He
Well, right
has a
now we are
whole
seeing a
lot.
big push happening here. So we have one Strokey DT, poked his head out, saw 6 more weeks of winter, and then got pummeled for seeing that winter. And Allsturm Pio, Stosstruppen, Sicherungs, the Pioneer, that's an extremely veteran force right there. Like, terrifyingly so.
Yeah, a lot of very good CQC infantry, which you don't get a whole lot of, really, in ElBowser's deck, 352nd. So he's definitely trying to make the most of him while he still has him. There's a lot of Strokey DTs as well, which are also pretty good CQC troops. So it's going to be pretty bloody. I mean, you even got the Emperor in the forest, and now the table's kind of turned, where ElBowser doesn't have a whole lot of anti-tank.
That, and the cannon's aiming for that cluster of troops as well. So again, we have one of these things where both guys are starting to play the kind of like this counter punch one by one by one by one. But the funny thing is, it's like each side knows what the counterplay is going to be, so they're pounding each other into dirt.
Yeah, it's just long-range artillery fire. I mean, we're seeing down south the BS-3 is starting to lob some of its BS towards the Flak 88, as well as the mortar as well. But you see ElBowser doing a bit of counter-battery play on the anti-tank gun, and yeah, onto the anti-tank gun. But we're also seeing Inshaaaaaaaaaaa investing more in artillery, so a lot in artillery. He's got 2 bloody Katyushas, so I think this is gonna get rather explosive very soon.
Well, and the mildly amusing thing about this, if anything can be mild or amusing, is we're just seeing this constant kind of overflow to BF-109s, and like you said, this force becomes that forest of death. Like, what the heck do you do? Well, we're starting to see artillery emplacements all over the place from ElBowser. The 2 FH-18s trying to take out that 100mm gun. Thing is, there's a Katyusha here. Little Katya is on the field, and I feel like she's close enough that she could pound the front lines, shut down the infantry push without too much trouble.
I think that's exactly what Inshaaaaaaaaaaa will be doing. That is such a juicy target for him to blow up, essentially. And even though they are only the 82mm Katyushas, that's more than enough in this case just against infantry.
Oh yeah, 48 of them? Yeah, please, absolutely. Sturmpires are taking a hefty amount of damage over here, so they're kind of going into it. Stallstruppen going down. Yeah, they're taking ridiculous losses, and they've not really taken that much of the forest. Enough to bring it to a 13-11, but is that enough? I would argue no.
Yeah, this is really just going to be a match, I believe, of very slow +1s, as neither side has the momentum to actually get that quick +2 victory. So it's probably just going to be a fight back and forth over his central forest flag, unless we start seeing some more heavy play down south here from Bowser, because he does have, you know, the opportunity to grab one, maybe 2 flags on the far southern flank.
Interesting thing, here comes the Katyusha. In fact, he's invested 2 of them for this Flak 88 position and the MG42. I don't know that I like this play.
No, same here. I really wish he would have hit the units on the front line. Because as you're seeing, it's mainly, well, I say mainly doing suppression damage, but those last few rockets are actually getting some kills.
Yeah, but if I fire enough things into this is Lanchester's law again. I'm going to go and fire enough rounds into an area. Eventually, I will kill them, but the investment is just not maybe worth the investment.
I think it's just he really wants to use his air power, because he does have a lot of air power available to him, so he's just trying to even up the odds, but I still agree the front line would have helped out.
I do like this. Very, very quick positioning of his Katyushas after they fired. You can see right now the FH-18s are aiming for that area and not hitting anything, and in fact, I think are unmasking. Oh no. I thought the 160 mil from the Russians was going to be engaging that. Not quite the case. But relocating, that's probably the best thing he could have done in that case. Well,
yeah. I think that's a good reason why a lot of militaries use self-propelled guns. It's a good way to not get blown up.
Yeah, it's kind of surprising how much common warfare is about not wanting to be found.
Yeah, it's how not to be seen.
Yeah, I was actually going to make a Monty Python reference myself, but you beat me to the punch on that one. You're absolutely correct. It continues to be 13-11, though. We are going to go into Phase C, which is, again, when everybody starts to drop off, and we start to kind of have this, again, very considered approach, kind of going a little bit more methodical. Another Panther is on the field. One in the south. He's not going down, has he?
Oh, he's
No,
just
no,
all the way
just
down
south.
south.
Yes.
We're seeing ElBowser starting to stretch his legs a little bit on the far southern flank, capturing the flag by the farmstead, and there's really not a whole lot Insha can do about this right now. He does have a BS3 being brought up, but once that thing gets unmasked from shooting, it's probably going to receive a lot of very unwanted attention.
More than likely. More than likely. Especially since you have this entire rotation of a Stug. I've seen those before. The occasional Stug down here to the south. We got some Martyrs. Yeah, there's a hefty amount of equipment being pushed forwards.
Oh, and this is definitely a smart move from ElBowser. He definitely has long-range anti-tank advantage, so you might as well make the most of it.
Katyusha are aiming for another freaking 88. Here we go again. I'm sorry, it's not the right investment. It's not the right investment. You're not going... Forget it. Yogg Panther is going a little bit further forwards. You know, I know you've talked about this in one of your Unit of the Week videos, in terms of the Katyusha. If you were trying to talk to a newer player, in your mind, what is the function of a Katyusha? Just to kind of maybe bury
Blowing stuff up.
Blowing stuff up, exactly.
Blowing stuff up. It's good for... Okay, I see where you're getting at, because, yeah, it's very good for frontline suppression. And that's really one of its main goals. I do think they are... I mean, same with Laborer. They can be used for sniping stuff. But, honestly, I actually kind of get it from Insha's point of view, because he has the flag in the center, so he's not looking to push up anymore. So he's just trying to deal with those backline units, so he can actually use his aircraft a bit more effectively. The Katyusha isn't the best, like the 82 mils aren't the best in that role, but they're still pretty, you know, they're still decent in the end of the day, unless they get blown up.
The SDKF Z72s, the biggest thing here is that a lot of Insha's material is not a dive bomb, but like a glide bomb or rockets, which means you're not going to be getting fairly accurate material if it's always just going to be this vague kind of lofting something downrange. In fact, we can see right now one of the Katyushas, I think, got hit.
Yep, one of them got blown up by ElBowser's counter battery fire, and yeah, ElBowser is actually bringing up a pretty decent artillery battery net. I don't know where I was going with that, because he's got another 150 being brought out, and I like how he's spreading them out. Oh, he has four of them out, bloody hell. So
yeah,
he's going to have a very good net.
Well, he has a potential for having 6 overall, but even if he goes and kills the supply truck, that's still a bit of a minor coup here. But I guess my point here is, it's great to be able to pick off the Flak 18, you know, the 88s, the Flak 41s, but at the end of the day, you're still down territory. Yes, you have that middle flag, but now he doesn't because he wasn't hitting the front lines. And I feel like that's what you have to be doing with a Katyusha. That's the point of a Katyusha.
Yeah.
But as you can tell, I feel very passionately about this. I feel like little Katya sometimes gets abused in this game, so.
Seeing up north, got some Superiors pushing on the far northern flank here. Think Insha's trying to open up another front, just trying to clear out a small little forest. Because down south, it's going to be really tough for him. I mean, that BS3 can pick off, I think it has already picked off a few tanks, including the Jagd Panther, so not bad at all. But it's still going to require him actually making a counter-attack.
More than likely, that's for sure, yeah. Zis 3 is going to go and get destroyed here to the south, so that's a bit of a hassle, let's call it. Some of the field howitzers are actually firing to the north. You can see a little bit aiming. They may not get more than a single round or two before the infantry push hits, but still, I would warrant rather worthwhile.
Yeah, we're just seeing a lot of artillery play here from Bowser, and it's definitely working out. I mean, we're seeing this northern push is getting absolutely shelled here, most of the infantry being very heavily suppressed. So, let's see how they go. I mean, they got the S-35 backing them up, but yeah, they're going to get pinned down, and they're going to get surrendered very shortly. Or maybe not. S-35 coming in clutch.
Yeah, for the moment, yes. Very true. These guys are going to come back in, coming out. Yes, they'll probably end up dropping. Yep, you see one of the squads getting dropped there. But I would argue, still very successful. That's a positive. That's still a win for ElBowser.
Yeah, keeping push at bay. And it's really coming down to infantry. We're seeing Insha has a lot of tanks here up north, but he's not going to push them up until the infantry clear up forest. So just long as ElBowser keeps a few guys in that northern little strip of forest, he's good to go. We've seen another Katyusha trying to finish off that Flak 88. I think he's dropping it a little short, but all it's going to take is run rocket.
He'll get it. It's just the amount of investment. Kind of watching with bated breath here. If he survives this, that's going to be very, very unfortunate. I mean, for the Russian troops who are going to die because of this. And he survives it.
Oh. Very lucky Flak 88. He's must be an expert in Dance Dance Revolution.
He's more like that Luigi video, I think, in Mario Party, where he wins by doing nothing.
Yes.
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 Exactly.
Just don't move and the artillery won't see you.
Oh, yeah, perfect. It's exactly right. So the central position has gone back over here to Inshaaaaaaaaaaa. But I think it's just because ElBowser's expecting an attack of some, some plumbers. Because you can see when he starts moving up some flame troops, the Russians go the other direction. So.
Yeah. But even then, his central flag, I mean, even if Insha does spend a lot of points taking it, he's still kind of screwed because that far southern flag is not under his control, and he does have the potential of taking it back. But it's tough, especially for his side. There's not a whole lot of cover to cover him to get back to that flag, where ElBowser has quite a few buildings and light forests for him to take advantage of. Fortunately, the BS3 has came in pretty clutch and knocked out a lot of the armoured threats, but there's still a lot of open ground between him and the flag.
True. Very true. Looking actually in that central position now, I feel like the BS3, we haven't seen a ton of it, but I kind of forget how really effective that thing is.
Yeah, it's a big bloody 100mm, essentially the Soviet Pak 43. You just don't see it much because it's really only available to fetch Yunkin.
And it's ridiculously expensive by comparison to his IS-3, which does most of those things pretty damn well. But we can still see heavy tanks being brought on in. We have an IL-2 to the north, IS-152. I mean, there's a lot of Russian aviation up and about. Regrettably for them, there's not really a whole lot of attack avenues.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. I mean, you're seeing the IL-2s coming in. I think he's trying to go for the martyrs. Oh, he's just going to get flaked on, because there's a whole lot of flak. ElBowser realizes that, well, he's diverting a lot of artillery firepower on the anti-air, so I should probably buy more anti-air. And that's definitely going to pay off, as those IL-2s have pretty much not been able to do much effectively.
And we can see right now, as I kind of go a little bit further forwards here, the howitzers are starting to kind of hit the front lines again over here inside that forest. Not able to be as effective as he might have wanted to be. Still going after that 160 mil, so pretty good idea. I mean, that thing doesn't have a ton of I think, munitions left. Nope, it doesn't. I think it's down to about maybe 25% at most.
Yeah.
But
hey,
hey,
it probably won't matter soon.
True. It's very true. Northern side, kind of more pioneers being shifted on in. One of those kind of very standard plays moving on forwards. Actually, wait. No, he's making a northern push himself. Look, he's get those guys set up there.
No, I like what Insha's doing here, actually flanking some guys in that far northern forest. It'd be good if he can maybe sneak up an anti-tank gun or some sort of support gun there. That'd be a fantastic angle in trying to actually gain this northern flag and potentially maybe gain some territory in that town. Because this could be a good counterpush considering what's happening down south.
True, but there's 3 squads I was trying to call out was ElBowser with a couple of squads of Sturmpios and Pioneers himself. So you're right. He actually might lose that forest for the time being, but I wouldn't, see this happening for too long.
There we go. He's gonna flip over that flag to a 1311, and he's actually very close in taking the flag in the northern town here. So if he's do a dedicated push, and he has a lot of armor to back him up.
Armor to back him up, yes. There still are spot shot ambush predators on the other direction, though, too.
Oh, the Ant-Panther is in a pretty nasty spot, and also Insha does need quite a bit of infantry to actually get this work. I'm seeing the Katyusha fire off once again, of course, at its favourite target. Oh no, yeah, Flak 88.
Oh yeah. You thought for a second he was aiming for the actual artillery, weren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He got me in the first half.
Well, yeah, exactly. That was one of the things where I feel like, good opportunity right there. Part of me thinks what an interesting idea would have been to aim for one of those howitzers. I mean, if you want to kind of diversify a bit, aim for that northern howitzer that you know is still there.
Yeah. I also think the Katyusha, you just need to get it a little bit closer, because that was a bit far away, and its dispersion pattern at that range is not ideal.
You're absolutely right there. Very, very true.
We're just seeing ElBowser get out very slow and steady, plus 1 point bleed. He's just holding it where it counts. He has an overwhelming amount of firepower on the map still. And Inshaaaaaaaaaaa's just been having a very hard time dealing with it. He's investing a lot in aircraft, and it just hasn't really been paying off.
Silly question here. Looking at all these howitzer, artillery plans, there's 5 howitzers. I don't think any of them are firing in their actual sector of existence. Do you think this is an intentional thing? Is this like to try to confuse the enemy about where the fire is coming from?
Oh no, you might just have him on the AI mode. Just have him randomly shooting. That's probably what he's doing. But at least they're all spread out. That's artillery runner 1 right, yeah.
Exactly. I don't know. It's just that it seems a rather amusing thing to kind of just the 5 howitzers and all of them keep going in other directions. And geez, that Katyusha I thought was just done. He's aiming for artillery.
Oh.
Here we go.
I
So
could actually
some
work.
battery fire. Yep.
Because the supply truck.
Mm-hmm. It's awfully close. I think you'll get it. Of course, now that I say that, Caster's Curse might kick in.
Seems like we're cursed.
Alright, never mind.
Yeah.
But you know what? I approve that particular decision. That makes sense to me. Adding the 122, actually also engaging, we see that on the northeastern side of everything. Doing very well for himself there.
Yeah, just trying to do the counter battery.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is, of course, doesn't have that radio, so that 122 is going to be quite inaccurate.
The one thing I think I want to figure out for a second, the duck is on the field. The duck is also not doing much.
Not too surprising, it's pretty standard duck affair. It's like an A10. It has a lot of fanfare and fancy, but in practice it's not that useful in an active battlefield.
Yeah, that's a very, very polite way of putting it. SU-122 moving a little bit further forwards, BS-3 going down just to the side of it. And I feel like now it's going to be the Germans' turn to just try to engage all this anti-air with its own artillery. I do get the feeling it's going to be marginally more effective, though, because it's rather bigger booms, and it's much more accurate, as we can see right there.
Yeah, and he has a lot of those booms, so they are doing absolute god's work. Insha definitely sort of spread out those anti-aircraft guns a little bit, because he's not doing himself any favours being so close together like that.
Well, he's got to worry about that combat guy that's right there, too. So that's still command officer right in that area.
Yeah. The last thing the combat wants to see is actual combat.
Exactly. Katyusha, by the way, aiming for an Aufklärer, so interesting decision there. And I'm getting the feeling that the Soviets are slowly finding themselves getting ground down, which is not really a thought I expected to have.
Yeah, it's just he hasn't managed to trade super efficiently in regards to killing the Panthers and the Martyrs and all the nasty German anti-tank. He has built up a decent anti-tank force of his own, especially up north, and he is making progress in the center. He has captured the flag, and he has a lot of infantry here. So, I mean, ElBowser still has the momentum in regards to the points, but Insha does have opportunities to actually push on through and at least get this sort of trove.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Just looking down south here, like, Bowser doesn't have a whole lot left in that far southern flank, but at the same time, Insha isn't doing any reconnaissance actions or any sort of probing attacks, because this could be a very easy flag, heck, maybe even 2 flags if he decides to get a bit aggressive in regards to attacking the southern flank. And he needs to think about being proper aggressive at this point, because, well, I say he doesn't have a lot of time, but 13 minutes does give you a little bit of breathing room.
For the moment, yes. I mean, we are seeing basically platoon upon platoon of just German infantry being brought out, and the Sicherungs over here in the center, you know, Grenadiers of Panzerfaust to the north. So, yes, there's a lot of potential kind of pitfalls. Ooh, there goes that 37 mil. I'm wondering if the artillery is going to readjust its fire to this front line.
Yeah. We'll just have to see. We've seen a lot of counterattack here from ElBowser in the center. He's got the Sicherungs in play. And the Stern Pioneers trying to hold the line for the time being. But that's a lot of Superiors. That's, yeah, that's just a lot of Superiors.
That's true, but he just killed 2 squads with flames, so...
Pioneer Führer, so close.
Roasty toasty over here. Yeah, the Sicherungs moving on in. P-Shrek squad might manage to actually survive.
Maybe.
And yeah, you know what? Now we're starting to get anti-air suppression, let's say, from these 150s. And you know what? It might sound two-faced to say, but I feel like that radio trait that you mentioned earlier makes this counter-battery fire or this anti-air suppression far more utilitarian.
Yeah, it definitely does help out quite a bit. Not so much in the far back line, as you don't get the you don't have the radio range, so to speak. But just also having many artillery guns all spread out at 150 millimeters. It's just a lot of kaboom Khan.
Yep.
And seen once again the 82 trying to kill the flak 88. This is like the 3rd barrage on that flak gun.
Yep. Looking elsewise, I mean, the howitzers, I think one howitzer all the way to the far north lost its supply truck, but other than that, you know, no big deal.
Yeah.
Now, Northern Town, we are seeing a bit of a push. Jagdpanther moving a little bit further forwards, being a little bit aggressive, engaging at least some kind of a light positions in those Maxims. I would be fascinated to know that BA-10 thinks it could probably even scratch the paint of the guy next to the Jagdpanther. But it hasn't happened just yet.
Yeah. That's not... Bit of a dangerous location there for the BA-10. Yeah, the steam of like Jagdpanther is going to be hard. I think it's definitely a good call here, just trying to drop in the artillery on that force and then maybe do a counter-attack of his armor.
True. Now, we did miss the fact that it is a 12-12. That's not going to last very long. It's a central position. I think it's starting to fold here at long last. Not getting reinforced in time. Not with any kind of, you know, support for that bulge. And with that happening, that central position is, well, 13-11 to start with.
Yeah, and you see all the way in the far north, ElBowser's managed to sneak in some sneaky pioneers, and yeah, he's very close to killing that 122. So if he kills that, that's going to be the far northern flag under his control.
And to make sure he does that, he's actually bringing 5 more squads of Sikhs to kind of go and engage rather effectively. Jagdpanther, it's kind of funny. Jagdpanther's used all its HE shells. I mean, and the AP shells probably not going to do a whole lot either.
No. Yeah, it barely has any high explosive, only 15 shots. I think it was designed to kill tanks.
Oh, no, absolutely.
Oh.
I think even this northern town might fall back to the Germans as well. Crew
Yeah.
killed on the Su-85. That is a bad beat there.
The Germans just have a lot of fire support up north, and they're using their fire support better compared to the Russians. As, I mean, you see the M2 and the T-34 here, they're not all on the front line trying to counterattack. They're kind of staggered, so they're not actually providing any effective fire support.
And I mean, if this battle could be wrapped up in a single fashion, it would basically be the importance of using artillery well.
Yeah. And that's really the main strength for 352nd. The infantry is kind of subpar. The tanks and anti-tanks are pretty decent. But if you want to make pushes, you're going to need to start lobbing a lot of shells indirectly.
True. And that's really been the strength. Yep, Inshaaaaaaaaaaa taps, which I think is a reasonable thing at this particular point. So on a World War One battlefield, we see a World War One fight.
Oh yeah, very fitting.
Yeah, very fitting indeed. About 700 difference, so about what we expect. A lot of infantry died today for your particular enjoyment. Um, and not quite as much air power as I expected, really. I mean, the BF-109 stuff started to really fall off here, with one superior getting 5 kills. Um, the Russians, I feel like, kind of missed an opportunity with some of that artillery. But I know I've mentioned that, I've talked that to death now.
Yeah, it just definitely could have done some better counter battery play. Really should have been using the Katyushas on the front line. I just think he didn't seize any potential opportunities. He had an opportunity in the center early in the match. He had opportunities down south and a bit up north, but he never really fully committed to any effective attack. Where ElBowser just got out 13-11 pretty much most of the match and just sat on it, because that's all he needed to do, especially when you have 550mm artillery guns just going at it.
Yep, it's absolutely true. Absolutely true. But I think that's pretty much all we have to say about that, don't we?
Yeah.
Well, folks, in that case, then come back on Thursday as we kind of go and give you another match from the monthly tournament. Until Thursday, I'm Conolberg.
I'm Rangaroo, take it easy.